안녕하세요 everybody, thanks for coming back to my channel. Today we're going to be breaking down the lyrics to BIBI's new song, Gang. Love it so much. Let's get into it. This is going to be the first song that I do that has no English in it, so buckle up. Okay, let's start with verse 1. The first line of verse 1 is 전하는 길에 네가 내게 말했지. And that means, as you were leaving, you said to me. 토나는 comes from the verb 토나다, which means to leave, and the ending 는 makes it present tense. 길 is like a road or a path. I don't really see where it fits into this translation, but just know that 길 is a road or path, and 에 is just a location marker. Now, this word is tricky. So, what I really love about Korean is that the pronunciation is clear 99% of the time. With English, sometimes you'll read something and it's actually pronounced a different way, and it's really surprising. But with Korean, basically everything is pronounced the way that it's written, except for like 2 instances that I can think of off the top of my head right now. The first one is when there's 에 at the end of a word to show possession. And the second one is this word, 네가 or 내가, which means you. Okay, so the word for me is 내가. It's spelled N-A-E-G-A. The word for you is spelled N-E-G-A, which sounds like 내가. So they sound very similar. So I'm pretty sure this is why they changed the pronunciation of the word you to 네가 instead of 내가, because they sound very similar. So if you ever see 내가 with an E instead of an A-E, it's pronounced as 네가. And when I was looking through different translations, I saw that they spelled it differently in different translations, but it's still pronounced the same, which is 네가, which means you. 내게 means to me. The 내 coming from the word 내가, which means me, which we just talked about. 말했지 is the past tense form of the verb 말하다, which means to say or speak. The 치 at the end is like a noun marking particle, so it's making this verb a noun in this sentence, but 말했 is the past tense version of 말하다, which means to speak. So this means when you were leaving, I guess down the road, you said to me, the next line is 너는 바라는 게 너무나 많아. And that means you always want far too much. 너는 is you. 바라는 comes from the verb 바라다, which means to wish or to yearn for. 게 is a thing. So a 바라는 게 is a thing that you wish for. 너무나 means like so much or way too much. 많아 comes from the verb 많다, which means to be a lot of or to be many of. So it kind of means you wish for so many things. The things that you wish for are too much, and there's many of them, pretty much. The next line is 잠깐이라도 난 바라보면. And that means even if for a moment I look away from you, comma, 잠깐이라도 means like for a second or for a brief moment. 잠깐 means like a short moment, for a second, and then 이라도 is what you put on the end of something to express that this isn't the preferred option, but it's better than all the other options out there. If you want more information on that particular grammar point, I'll link it below. 널 is you. 안 is not. 바라보면 comes from the verb 바라보다, which means to look at or to glance at or to gaze at. And then the ending 면 means if. So, 잠깐이라도 means even for a moment if I'm not looking at you. So, even if for a moment I look away from you. Then the next line is 머리에 불이 나버린다니까. And that means it's like my mind ignites into flames. 머리 is your head. 에 is a location marker, which means this is where this action is going to take place. 불 is like a fire, a flame, or a light. 이 is just a subject marking particle. 불이 나버린다니까 is a combination of 2 verbs. The first one being 불나다, which means to be on fire, and the second one being 버리다, which means to throw something away, but what it really means when you put it at the end of another verb is that you're doing it to the full extent. Like, it's irreversible, you can't come back from it. You're doing it all the way to the end. And the ending, nika, means like since or because. It's like what you put at the end of something when you're explaining why you're doing something. So, 머리에 불이 나 버린다니까 means my head fully becomes on fire to the fullest extent. Next line is 나는 흐르려는 눈물을 참고, and that means I hold back the tears about to flow. 나는 is me or I. 흐르려는 comes from the verb 흐르리다, which means to flow or to run or to empty into. 눈물 is tears, 눈 being eyes and 물 being water, so eye water. 참고 comes from the verb 참다, which means to tolerate or to bear or to endure. So, 흐르려는 눈물 are flowing tears. 나는 흐르려는 눈물을 참고 means I endure the flowing tears. Next line is 하려던 얘기를 어렵게 누르고, and it means struggling to suppress the words I long to share. 하려던 means that you wanted to do something or you tried to do something. It comes from the verb 하다, which means to do. That's all I can tell you. Oh, and also 던 means that this is something from the past that's already been done. 얘길 comes from the verb 이야기, which means like speaking or talking, and in some cases it means a story. So we're just gonna say talk. Hello, it's editing me stopping in to clarify what I'm talking about. 이야기 is a noun, and it's a story, like a talk, a conversation. It's also a verb, and it means the same thing: to talk, to have a conversation, to chat with, or to tell a story of some sort. 어렵게 comes from the verb 어렵다, which means to be difficult. And then 게 means that you're doing something in the fashion of this, so it means like difficultly. 누르고 comes from the verb 누르다, which means to press or to push. So the way I'm interpreting this is the words or story that I wanted to say, I had to difficultly press them down or push them down. Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next one. Okay, next line is 그래 미안해라는 한마디로, and that means with just a single yes, I'm sorry. 그래 means okay. 미안해 comes from the verb 미안하다, which means to be sorry. 라는 is what you put on the end of something to be like, this is called blank. So 그래 미안해라는 means a blank called okay, I'm sorry, and the blank is coming later. 한 is a shortened version of the word 하나, which means one. 마디 is a word. 로 means through or with. So 그래 미안해라는 한마디로 means with one word called okay, I'm sorry. Last line from verse 1 is 너랑 나는 나둘 메모리 했었지, and that means I closed the chapter of the days we spent together. 너랑 means with you. 너 means you. 랑 means with or and. 나는 comes from the verb 나누다, which means to split or divide. 날들 is days. 날 is a day, and 둘 makes it plural. 마무리 했었지 comes from the verb 마무리하다, which means to finish, complete, to end, wrap up, or round up something. So this line means the split days with you I wrapped up, because the hes here indicates that it's past tense. Alright, now we're at the refrain, which is the best part of the song. And that goes 달디 달고 달디 달고 달디단 밤양갱 밤양갱, and that means sweet, oh sweet, the sweet chestnut red bean jelly. 달디 달고 달디단 all comes from the verb 달디 달다, which means to be very sweet. 밤양갱 is chestnut red bean jelly. Now, I think 달디 달고 is conjugated in a weird way, so don't go around saying 달디 달고 to express that something is sweet. I don't know if it works that way. There's other words for sweet, like 달콤한, or 달콤하다, which literally means to be sweet. I think she's kind of just like playing with the words to make it sound cute. But in this context, it means the very sweet chestnut red bean jelly. Next line is 내가 먹고 싶었던 그 달디단 밤양갱 밤양갱이야. And that means the one delight I've always longed to savor. That sweet, sweet chestnut red bean jelly. I gotta taste this stuff. 내가 is me or I. 먹고 싶어 means you want to eat. 먹다 means to eat. 고 싶어 means you want to do something. So 먹고 싶어 means you want to eat. And then 돈 at the end means that this is a past tense thing or that it's already been done. So this kind of means I have wanted to eat this. I wanted to eat this. 건 is a thing. 달디단 means sweet. 밤양갱 is chestnut red bean jelly. And then 밤양갱이야 means it is chestnut red bean jelly, because iya at the end. This is informal, by the way, so you wouldn't go using this with like your elders or your 선배님s or anything like that. iya just means it is. So 내가 먹고 싶었던 건 달디단 밤양갱 밤양갱이야 means the thing I've always wanted to eat is that sweet chestnut red bean jelly. Okay, after the refrain, we get what is called the chorus. I don't know if there's really a chorus in this song. I don't know. For the sake of this, we're going to refer to this as the chorus. Even though it's kind of the verse, it does not matter. So, after then it goes the same thing from the beginning. 떠나는 길에 네가 내게 말했지. 너는 바라는 게 너무나 많아. Which means, as you were leaving, you said to me, you always wish for so much. Then she says, 아냐, 내가 늘 바란 건 하나야. Which means, no, what I've always wanted was one thing, and you can probably guess what that is. 아냐 is a shortened version and an informal version, so again, don't use this with elders. But 아냐 means no. It's a shortened version of the word 아니요, which means no. 내가 늘 바란 건 is one phrase, and it means the thing that I've always wanted. So 내가 means me or I. 늘 means always or all the time. 바란 건 is a thing that I want or wish for, because 바람 comes from the verb 바라다, which means to wish for or to hope for or to yearn for or to long for. 하나야 means it's one. So 하나 is one, and the ending ya means it is. So it's no, the thing I've always wanted is just one thing. Last line from the chorus verse 2? I don't know. Last line from this little bit is 한 개분이야 따뜻한 밤양갱, and that means just one thing, sweet chestnut red bean jelly. 한 is a shortened version of 하나, which means one. 개분이야 means just a thing. So 개 kind of means thing, and 분이야 means only or just. 따뜻한 밤양갱, sweet chestnut red bean jelly for like the 15th time. 한 개분이야 means just one thing, and that's that sweet chestnut red bean jelly. Okay, now we're in the bridge, and this part gets confusing, so hang on. I'm gonna do my best to explain as much as possible. Anyway. 쌍다리가 부러지고 둘이서 먹다 하나가 쓰러져 버려도, and that apparently means so much food the table might collapse, knocking one of us down. 상다리 is a table, with 가 just being a subject marking particle. 부러지고 comes from the verb 부러지다, which means to break, to get broken, to give away. 둘이서 means the two of us, or us two, with 둘 being the number for two. 먹다 means to eat. 하나가 means one. 하나 is one, with 가 just being a subject marking particle. 쓰러져 버려도, I believe, is a combination of two verbs. 쓰러지다 means to collapse. And poryo, if I'm not mistaken, comes from the verb porida, which we talked about earlier, which means to do something to the full extent, like you fully sent it. And then to at the end means even if. So, I don't necessarily get this meaning, but 상다리 풀어지고 is the table giving away. 둘이서 먹다 is us two eating. And then 하나가 쓰러져 버려도, that's a long word. That means one completely collapses, even if one completely collapses. The last line of the bridge is 나라는 사람을 몰랐던 넌. And that means you never knew who I really was. 나라는 is the bane of my existence. Okay, so this is confusing because 나라 means country. So normally this would mean as for the country, which is this little nun means as for this. It's a topic marking particle. That doesn't make any sense in this context because this has nothing to do with countries. The song is all about sweet chestnut red bean jelly. It has nothing to do with countries. So, nara is probably not the word that is the main focal point here. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is a combination of na, which means me, and ra는, which is what we talked about earlier, which means this is called blank. 사람 is a person, and is just an object marking particle. So I think that 나라는 사람 is a person called me. That's what I think. That's not what the translation says. But the translation also says nothing about countries. So I think this is what it's supposed to mean. 몰랐던 is a past tense version of the word 모르다, which means to not know. So normally if you want to say, I don't know, you would say 몰라 or 몰라요. If you want to say, I didn't know, you would say 몰랐어요. But 몰랐던 means that like you didn't know and it's already been done. So it's just another form of a past tense version. And then 넌 means you. So I think that this line 나라는 사람을 몰랐던 너 means you didn't know this person called me. That's what I think. Okay, now we're back in the chorus. This song is so confusing. And this time the chorus starts off this way. 더 나가다가 돌아서서 말했지. And that means, as you were leaving, you turned around and said to me. 더 나가다가, if I'm not mistaken, is a combination of two words. 떠나다, which means to leave, and 가다, which means to go. So we're just going to say that it means to leave. 돌아서서 means you turn around and then etc. So 돌아서 comes from the verb 돌아서다, which means to turn around. And then this little ending, so, expresses that this one action happened and then this next action is about to follow. And usually it means that the actions are related to each other. 말했지 is the past tense form of 말하다, which means to say. So, as you were leaving, you turned around and said to me. You left and then turned around and said to me. And then it just goes, 너는 바라는 게 너무나 많아. 아냐 내가 늘 바란 건 하나야. 한 개뿐이야. 따뜻한 밤 양갱. And that's the end of it. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to do this because I love this song so much. One of my favorite songs that's come out in 2024 so far. As always, you can leave suggestions or corrections in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your feedback. I will see you next week, and in the meantime, I hope you have a great week. Bye!